Hello everyone and welcome to week 10 of my Day in the Life of a DPT Student series. This week is going to be a fairly normal week. It's going to be a little bit more lab heavy than I have sometimes because occasionally my movement science lab happens on Fridays, but other times it doesn't. So we'll have that as well as my new class, motor control and motor learning lab this week. On top of that, you may notice throughout this week that I start to grow a bit more facial hair. I'm not just doing that just because I want to, but I'm participating in Movember as I do every year, just as kind of a help and awareness of men's health issues and things like that. So it's a nice conversation starter to have with my friends, since normally I am pretty clean shaven. But outside of that, we're just gonna start out this week by doing some studying, and let's get to it. We got ourselves some lunch to have. I'm going to watch a little bit of soccer to keep up with the games that have been happening this weekend. Wow. If you have been watching European soccer, like in the Premier League, De Bruyne's free kick this week, wow, that's so impressive. Well, I'm going to eat my lunch and then I will do a little bit of studying and get to doing my motor control and motor learning quiz for later today. So we just started off our morning by continuing our Duolingo streak. So now that that's out of the way, I just have class in 9 minutes over Zoom, so I'll hop onto that soon. I didn't do too much else this weekend. It was kind of busy just because my girlfriend and I went to a Halloween party last night, so it took up a little bit of our time, and as a result I slept in a little bit this morning. It's almost 10 already, but I have my breakfast and I'm ready to zoom into class. For my break during evidence-based practice, I ended up getting some bunny love just to brighten the day. Of course, Blizzard didn't really like the camera, so he ended up knocking it over, but it was still a good time. Alright, well, now that I've had lunch and we finished our evidence-based practice class this morning, I got all dressed up in my Halloween costume. I don't know if you can tell who I am, but if you can, let me know down below in the comments. But now that I'm all dressed up, a bunch of my friends and I are going to go in our costumes and just play some hacky sack before we have our second Zoom session of the day. So I'll see you guys after that's done. While my friends and I were in our neuroscience class, we ended up having a really fun surprise where there were a bunch of T-Rex reverse trick-or-treaters who swung by and gave us some candy, so it was definitely a bonus for the day. Well, that's all the classes that I have for the day, so pretty much now I'm going to keep this costume on, get ready to hand out candy tonight since it's Halloween, And I might do a little bit of homework later, depending on if I have a little bit of time, because I do have a short assignment for my class on Wednesday that I could work on and probably get done pretty easily tonight, as well as probably compiling some of my notes for neuroscience. So I guess we'll see what the night holds, but at least for today, that's Monday out of the way. Sadly, our plans for giving out candy on Halloween ended up falling through because of a possible COVID exposure, so I ended up making the most of it, doing some chores at home, and trying to get ahead on my schoolwork before the next day. So I'm starting off my Tuesday with a little bit of a walk to get myself going. I have a little bit of reading and looking at the slides that I'll do for my movement science class, which is the only one that I have this afternoon. And then I have a pretty relaxing evening, so I might try and knock out a little bit more of compiling my notes for neuroscience and working through a bit of that workbook, as well as probably doing a bit of my Duolingo for the day. So I'll see you guys in a bit. Now that class is all done, I'm just going to make myself some dinner and probably knock out my Fundamentals of Intervention quiz, as well as the pre-lab information for my movement science lab that will be on Friday. So I'll just knock those out tonight and maybe get some relaxation in, maybe do a workout, and probably do some Duolingo. As you can see here, I am pretty much completely done with everything on my to-do list. The only thing left is in the evidence-based practice for the vocab list, but that's not too much of a priority right now. I'm all done with classes for the morning, knocked everything out of the way pretty easily. It's just a bit of group work and a small bit of lecture on observational analysis. So now I am just going to have some lunch. I don't really have too much else to do, so I will probably work on finalizing my neuroscience workbook. And then this afternoon, I just have to dress up a little nicely for the APTA president who is stopping by our campus for a quick Q&A session. And then I just have one more class today, my neuroscience class, and doing an additional training that my campus is offering. So it should be a fun evening. We had another good day of classes and another good training to have under my belt in terms of opioid overdoses and things like that. So pretty much the rest of the night, I've just been working on doing my education on the ballot so that I can put it in for the election that's coming up, since election day is closing in. But tomorrow I just have class from 8 until noon, and then a short research seminar from noon until 1. So I guess I'll see you guys when that happens. I just finished my Fundamentals of Intervention lab, as well as got to attend a kind of research synopsis of some of my faculty, so I got to learn a bit more about all of those type of things and get to see what they do outside of class, which was super cool. But now I am all done for the day, so I'm just going to probably bring my ballot over to one of the drop boxes, work on a few odds and ends of non-school related things, such as filling out like my FAFSA and everything like that to make sure that I can get some funding for next year, as well as probably do a workout and maybe get a little bit of studying in for my exams coming up next week. As I was working through finalizing my neuro workbook, it ended up actually snowing quite a bit, so I was pleasantly surprised and decided to end up going for a walk. So here you can just check out some of the things I saw. After having a fun night last night in the snow and everything, I decided this morning to just go for a workout right away. Feeling really good, so going to eat my breakfast, then I'm going to just double check my list because I think everything is checked off of my to-do list for this week. I only have class at 3 p.m. today, so it's going to be a really light morning. Again, just going to do some chores around the house, do the dishes, take out the trash, do some of those regular type of things, and probably get a little bit of studying in for my exams next week. So see you guys later. So I've knocked out a good chunk of my chores, taken out the trash, cleaned up the bunny's cage, and done a few calls and emails here and there because I'm looking at possibly getting a job position here on campus soon. But now I am headed off to possibly get some free gear from my school as part of our first snow celebration that they do each year, and that's why I was hinting at it. It wasn't quite enough snow last week, but since, as you saw last night, we got a good bit of snow, we get to have our first snow celebration with some warm drinks and things like that. So I'm going to head over now and get some free apparel. Okay, so I have my last class of the week coming up in just under an hour, so I'm just overviewing kind of what I'm going to do for my movement science lab. Since we're working on the determinants of movement and what kind of limits you and things like that, we're each going to teach each other a skill, and we're going to try and pick it apart into the different parts of it, as well as what are the determinants of movement. So for mine, I'm doing just a simple move in soccer where my starting position is here beside the ball. My initiation step is changing my center of mass over across the ball. One of the determinants I have is hip adduction, as we can see, bringing myself across. Then execution is bringing my other leg over across the other side of the ball, and the termination step is where I'm planting that other foot and pushing off in the other direction with the planting foot. I'm all done with my practicing and feel ready for lab, and it's almost time to go. So I'm just going to grab my stuff, get it together, and I don't know what else there is really to do tonight other than probably a little bit of relaxation and maybe some studying if I really feel like it. But this is probably going to be near the end of this video, so I guess I'll see you guys after if there is anything. Otherwise, this might be near the end. I just got back from my movement science lab. It was really fun. They enjoyed my step over move that we worked on, and we were able to nitpick and find the intricacies. We learned a lot and had fun and got to end the week out well. So that's really all I have for this week. I'm just gonna go for a grocery run later and then maybe do a little bit of my prep work for next week. But if you enjoyed the video, make sure to like and subscribe down below. This has been KB DPT, and I'll see you guys next week.